A very good morning. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. Great show for you today. A lot of picks. Let's see how the picks did yesterday before we bring in the stars of the show. We go 3-3-1. A couple of late rallies that destroyed some picks. Of course, you saw the Yankees blow a lead up 3-0 late, and then you saw, let's see, it was the Mets run line. Now, if you took the money line, that won. They were up 5-1. They end up winning 5-4. But we go 3-3-1, a push from Larry Hartstein. Let's see how we do today. Let's bring in the stars of the show. We've got Mike McClure. We've got Larry Hartstein. We've got Martin Green. This is a good team here, folks. Let's see how we do on the picks today. Larry, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing better than the Boston Celtics, who decided they are not going to take any 2-point shots. They're going to launch 63-point shots and only 37 twos, and that's how you blow a 20-point lead. But unbelievable that the NBA, the last three teams that have been getting 8 or more points, all won outright.
Well, so that's the interesting thing. Mike, your reaction, I was going to ask, like, what's the bigger surprise? One 9.5-point dog winning or the other 9.5-point dog winning? Which one's more surprising to you?
You know, I think just the way it went down, I think the Celtics not hanging on to win that game and figuring out a way to go win that game still, that was more surprising to me. I think that we all kind of think the Knicks have the talent. We know Jalen Brunson can go win a game anytime he wants to. But I think the gap there is bigger and should be bigger. So, yeah, I think it was definitely Boston not finding a way to win that game was very surprising.
I mean, they were up 20 points in that game. Larry, let me go back to you. Do you expect Boston to win their series? Of course, they're still huge favorites. And do you expect Denver to lose their series against OKC?
Yeah, I think both of those will revert, and those, but credit to the underdogs in that series. But I think both favorites are going to win. The favorite I'm worried about is the Cleveland Cavaliers, because all of a sudden, Garland is questionable, Mobley is questionable, somebody else is questionable. So if the injury bug hits, they're in real danger.
Well, we actually have a pick on this show, not on a side, but on a total in that game, and it's going to be courtesy of our main man, Ben Wittenstein, our producer. He's going to show up on the show and give out a pick. I think, Larry, he's at about 70%, real close to 70% giving out picks on this show, correct?
Yeah, he's relatively new, but 10-5 all time on the show.
All right. I believe, what is that, 66.6%? I was liberally rounding up there, but it'll be 70% if he hits today. All right, let's get to some picks, because one thing we left out, Mike McClure, is the NHL playoffs. It's been super exciting. It's only going to get more exciting, as the NHL playoffs always do. I'm sitting here in DC. I'm actually, after this show, headed to Monumental Sports Network to record some stuff. That's that Capital One Arena where the Capitals will be playing. Talk to me about Hurricanes Capitals tonight.
Hurricanes, Capitals, NHL playoffs, as you mentioned. See, I encourage all of you, if you have not watched them, go watch. It is just so entertaining, so exciting. Truly one of the best things in sports is playoff hockey. Especially if you have a first period under, you are guaranteed to sweat the entire time. First period under 1.5. This one's coming in at even money. If you've followed these at all, you know that I believe that in the playoffs, in these particular situations, you should be paying at least minus 125 on average for a first period to not have 2+ goals in it. When I look at these two teams, though, they do one thing very well, and that is kill penalties. The penalty kill this season, Carolina was number 1 in the regular season. They have not surrendered a power play goal in the playoffs, and the Capitals were top 5 in terms of the penalty kill. And then on the power play itself, that was the weakness for Carolina this season. Didn't crack the top 20 in NHL in terms of scoring on the power play. That is typically what happens in playoff hockey, though. To get to those 2 opening period goals, unless it's just really bad goaltending, you're going to need power play situations. The fact that both of these teams are so good on the penalty kill, it is game 1 of a series. I think they let them play a little bit more, and we don't get that quick whistle early. I'm going to go under 1.5 here at even money. Again, these price points should be closer to minus 125. This is more representative of a regular season line than a playoff hockey line.
All right. A first period under 1.5 at even money. Martin, so rude of me. I didn't even intro you to the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you, Sia. I'm a little bit nervous. We have a big Champions League week. It's the second leg of the semi-finals. The Inter versus Barcelona game is delicately poised at 3-3 on aggregate. And Arsenal are 1-0 down against Paris Saint-Germain. So they play tomorrow. Need to try and overturn a 1-goal deficit. Not feeling particularly optimistic about that one, but we live in hope.
Well, before you give out your picks, I got to say, by the way, Stephen Cook says a first quarter under sweat. Let's go M2, M squared tailing now. Speaking of sweating things, don't forget, if you're listening to the podcast and you don't watch the live show, that's okay. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Please make sure you're subscribed and that you review the podcast and all of those things. But Danny Brasco has been in the chat and he's been giving out, believe it or not, this is not you hearing it wrong. He's been giving out cricket plays actually for like a year and a half, but he's making it a point to get into our YouTube chat over on the SportsLine YouTube channel. And he's putting plays in the chat before 10 o'clock, before the show starts, because I think these games start at 10 o'clock. And he's on the Mumbai Indians money line -150. He says game starts now. So that was when he got into the chat about 10 minutes ago. Now we're getting cricket questions. I don't even know if this is a real question or not, but Casey, I assume it is. KC3 says, Danny, what are your thoughts on the Guyana Rainforest Rangers? I don't know if that's a real team. I assume it is. And I assume Danny Brasco has a response to it. But I just think it's so interesting because you get hockey picks, you get soccer picks, you get cricket picks, of course, NBA, MLB. We literally cover it all. And it's very intriguing. All right, let's get back to soccer before we get to anything else. Martin Green, you got a couple of picks for us.
I do. I just love that Danny Brasco's two sports are UFC and cricket,
Yes.
which couldn't be more further apart.
Yes.
Cricket over here is the most genteel, like nobility sport you can find, and UFC is just people beating each other to pieces. But anyway, soccer, yeah. So we have the second leg of Inter Milan versus Barcelona taking place today. As I mentioned earlier, these teams played out what was an exhilarating 3-3 draw in the first leg last week. Barcelona's defending was dreadful throughout that game. They were lucky not to concede 5 or 6 goals, I thought. They were just so open. But Lamine Yamal and Rafinha were scintillating in attack. Their individual brilliance ultimately allowed Barca to claw their way back into it. So delicately poised, and I'm thinking the stage is set for another high-scoring game. Based on the evidence of last week, the last 2 games between these teams have actually finished 3-3. So I'm just keeping it simple and going with both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. That bet's been paying off regularly when Barcelona have been playing. Inter Milan are creaking a little bit in defense right now, and Barcelona just have that individual brilliance through Yamal and Rafinha. So hopefully that pays off. And I'm also just going for a smaller stake on Yamal to score or assist. He was the standout player in that first leg. He was just unplayable. He scored a superb goal. He hit the crossbar twice. He teed up Rafinha for his goal. He was just on fire. He's got 15 goals and 24 assists in 50 games so far this season. And I can get +140 on him to either score or assist in this game. As I say, smaller amount on that prop, but I do like that one.
Mike McClure says, delicately poised from Martin hits so good on a Tuesday morning. Mike, I heard that phrase too, and I almost said something, but I got distracted by all the stuff that's going on in the show. But Martin, there's so many people that are just like, I just like when Martin's on the show. It puts me at ease in the morning. Your thoughts, Martin?
I'm glad to hear that. If it doesn't work out for me with the sports betting, I'm hoping to land sort of a gig with Mindspace or Calm or something like that. So consider this my audition tape.
Yeah, well, my sister has an app in that regard. Maybe I'll hook you up with her. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about some BetMGM promos before we get to more picks. So we got a lot more picks, including a fun outright pick for the Myrtle Beach Classic that I decided to bring to this show instead of just put it on the early wedge tonight at 7 o'clock, which is going to be a great show. But BetMGM account holders will receive an Any Sport Parlay Boost token. That's right, a Parlay Boost token. Any sport. To use the Parlay Boost token, create a parlay and activate the token. If you win that parlay, you will receive extra winnings only at BetMGM. BetMGM makes it incredibly easy to find the boosts or find the tokens and the promos and go ahead and bet them. Really credit to them for making it as easy as possible to find. All right, let's find some SportsLine picks. And I know there's so much stuff going on in the chat that I just haven't got to. So don't worry, I'll get to it later on in the show. We got the Padres money line playing the Yankees. Comeback ball for them. They win, and just Yankees just blowing it with Devin and company. JLC likes the Padres money line, even money here on the road. And then we're going Zach Wheeler over 6.5 Ks. This correlates pretty well with the play that I'm going to give out later. This is juicy. It's minus 147. It's courtesy of AMAG. Zach Wheeler over 6.5 Ks. And we do have a producer pick. I know Ben's going to come on, so he's going to come on in just a second after this graphic is done here. Pacers Cavs under 229.5 at minus 105. Again, Pacers Cavs under 229.5 minus 105. This does seem pretty high, Ben. Explain yourself.
Yeah, and you know me, I've been a big zigzag theory guy for the playoffs so far. So I think this is one of the games we saw lots of scoring in Pacers-Cavs game one. Pacers couldn't stop making three-point shots. They made 19 threes, shot 53% from downtown. So I think we see a little bit of a regression on their end. And I think the Cavs, with how many injuries that they have with Mobley and Garland, even if he maybe comes back, he's still slightly injured. I think they know they have to slow the pace down a little bit. And I think they're going to play a lot slower on offense. They're not going to let the Pacers get into some transition offense opportunities. I think we see a lot lower scoring game. I mean, they barely hit the over 230, 231 in their last game. So I think with the regression in scoring, Cavs playing a little bit slower, I think we see a lower scoring game with this one.
Mike, I see you active not only on the show, but in the chat as well. You have some thoughts on this total as well.
I do. Yeah, I like the play a lot. I agree with it. I made the number 225, which is frankly still a pretty robust total in an NBA playoff game, particularly one where the home team is down 0-1 in the series, right? So I think that is where the Cavs are going to have to bring the defensive intensity. And yeah, I mean, outside of an overtime situation, to me, I think it's first team to 110 wins, not both teams getting over.
Fair enough. All right. Anytime you get the Mike McClure endorsement, it's always a good thing. Ben, thank you very much. Well, Ben, maybe if you don't mind, because I got to give out a couple of picks. I'm back on the first fives. I'm 0 for 3 on the year, so I'm hoping to actually win one. Fade me if you wish. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to a fun outright, kind of a birthday outright. I'll explain that in a little bit. We got to get to a play from Larry Hartstein, but we're going to do it, Ben, if you don't mind, right after this break. All right, we're back on the early edge. Ben has disappeared. He's running things on the back end. A big thank you to Ben. Hit the like button, if not for us from Ben Winnetstein, who has just been such a great addition to this show, not just with the producing skills, but with the picks as well. He's trying to go 11-5 on the early edge, which is certainly a great record. KC3 says, let's go, Sia. You're going to hit the first 5 today. Streak begins now. Well, I hope you're right, because I'm going with the Phillies first 5. This one scares me a little bit. By the way, Phillies first 5 money line. This one scares me a little bit because I would have thought, and maybe this will happen later today, I would have thought this line would be a little bit bigger. I would have thought there'd be maybe some more movement the Phillies way. And I do think, even though there's some probably casual money coming in on the Phillies, it does feel like there might be some money coming in on the Rays, kind of holding this line down. But we mentioned Zach Wheeler, right? We have AMAGs with the Zach Wheeler over strikeouts. I do think Zach Wheeler is going to deal today. Now, he has been giving up home runs as well. So that's certainly a problem, especially in the ballpark that they're going to be playing in. It's going to be hot. It's going to be really good hitting conditions. You know, fences aren't exactly far back here. But I just like where Zach Wheeler is right now. He's certainly missing some bats. Yes, he's given up some home runs. He's given up some hard contact. But Drew Rasmussen has really, I don't want to say he's regressed that bad, but he started out the season great, starting to regress a little bit. And I think he's seeing a Phillies team that's starting to really hit the ball well. You look at the runs that they've produced over the last, 5-10 games. It's looking really good, but they're also getting runners on base, which I absolutely love. I don't think this Rays team can really hit. I'm not super afraid of them, especially with a guy like Zach Wheeler on the mound. So it doesn't feel like a road game when you're playing in Tampa or wherever Tampa's playing. So I do feel like this is almost like a neutral site environment, especially the way the Phillies fans travel. But again, I say that because the Phillies aren't super great on the road here. But nonetheless, give me Phillies first 5, minus 125. You might be able to find this at minus 120. I'd play it up to minus 130. I expect Zach Wheeler to deal here. All right, my fun pick before we get to Larry Hartstein. I'm going to give out Myrtle Beach Classic outrights on the early wedge tonight. And I'm going to give out, of course, Truist Championship outrights. That's the signature event that we're all kind of focused on. But if you follow me, it's the alt events, the Myrtle Beach Classic, where I really kind of shine, particularly with the outrights. Earlier this year, hit Carl Phillips at 70-1. I'm going to give a more conservative 33-1. I'm just giving out an outright early, just kind of a teaser for tonight's show. I'm going to give Kevin Yu out at plus 33, or I should say 33-1. Kevin Yu was good here last year. I think he finished 4th place. He's been really good with the ball striking, and the putter is starting to come along for the party, coming along where it doesn't normally. He's normally pretty bad with the putter. So I think Kevin Yu at a short number. I don't like taking short numbers. All my other outrights are going to be in the 40 to 80-1 range. I'll probably have 3 more on the card for Myrtle Beach. This is short because I do like Kevin Yu. I also considered him in the top 20 market, but for now, 33-1. I will mention Sunday's my birthday, and 33 is my lucky number. Both of those things are true. So if we're just talking about narrative building, Kevin Yu on my birthday with a lucky number odds of 33-1, it almost has to hit. So give me Kevin Yu at the Myrtle Beach Classic. More along those lines on the early wedge at 7 o'clock. Let's transition. That was a lot of talking from me. Larry, we got to hear your pick, and then we are going to have a home run graphic. We did hit Freddie Freeman yesterday, by the way, on his first at bat, I believe. Larry, talk to me about Naz Reid.
Yeah, game 5 against the Lakers was a Rudy Gobert game for the ages. 20-plus points and rebounds. Just absolutely annihilated them, but I don't think that's going to be the case against Draymond Green and the Warriors. He's going to be an important part of the series, but I don't think they're going to be able to play him as many minutes with the way the Warriors run the pick and roll. I think it's going to mean more minutes for Naz Reid, who is a more able defender, able to get out on the perimeter. It's just a great matchup for him. If you look at his history against the Warriors, cleared this line over 15.5 points of rebounds in all 4 regular season matchups. The last 10 times he's played the Warriors, he's scored 15 points, just scoring alone 15 points in more than half of those matchups. He was very quiet in that game 5, unusually quiet, but he still cleared this in 3 of his last 5 games. And I believe this is a series where Naz Reid is going to be pivotal, and especially in game 1, coming off that quiet performance, I went over 15.5.
All right. We like over 15.5. Can I ask you, Larry, do you have any opinions on this series, whether it's this game or this series, or, Minnesota does seem like the better team overall. They've got a lot to throw at you. I don't know that it's the best matchup for them. I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of talking out loud. Mike, I'm going to go to you, and then Martin, we're going to go to soccer questions if we have any. But any thoughts on this series, Larry?
Well, if you wanted to do a showdown with me, because I still need payback for, the Phoenix Suns, which cost me a lot of money against you. But I would happily take the Minnesota Timberwolves and pay the money line price against the Warriors. I just think this is where it ends for Golden State. That they're not, 100% healthy. They had to tax themselves and go 7 games. And I just think the team will, especially the way Julius Randle's playing. I mean, he's playing much more efficient basketball than he ever did with New York.
Since coming back from the injury, Julius Randle's been great. He's just so under the radar, and he's so good. If you just watch them play, he's just been so good. Mike, any thoughts on this series?
Yeah, it's Minnesota for me. I honestly liked whoever won between Minnesota and the Lakers in this particular one. But yeah, I think that Minnesota is just too deep. Anthony Edwards is the best player on the floor by a wide margin. Yeah, I think Minnesota cruises.
All right. Sia, do not take that. Yeah, David Talk, I'm not going to take that. He did say, I will, to Larry's credit, he said at whatever the money line price is. So he wasn't going to go even with me. He was going to, whatever it is, I don't know, it's minus probably 250, 290 or something.
Let me check right now.
It's got to be
55. Well, that's the money line for the first game. I forgot.
No, I meant for the series. Yeah.
Yeah. Series price, we have 194.
Okay. Ooh. Yeah. But the point is, I'm not taking the showdown anyway. Right. Stephen Cook, he's trying to bait me into it. He says it's going to be a showdown. But no, I'm not taking the showdown. Denver winning the chip, says Justin Bowman. Oh, God, I'm so impressed with Denver. I really am impressed with Denver. Russell Westbrook, by the way. Listen, I understand he's going to have that bad game or several bad games in a row, but we got to compliment him and reward him with praise when he has good games. And he has really been helping this Denver Nuggets team out when they really, really need it. Martin Green, soccer questions. Anything?
Quite a lot of questions about various sort of prop bets focusing on Lamine Yamal and Rafinha, kind of shots on goal, shots on target. I think 6 shots is a bit too high. I'd probably be on the under 6 shots. It's rare for a winger to have 6 shots in a single game. But there was a question about Yamal over 1.5 shots on target, which I like. I think he's going to be their primary attacking weapon in this game. They're going to get the ball to him as often as possible, and he just blazed the trail of destruction in the first game. Inter couldn't handle him, so I think we should see another strong performance from him. So that looks like a better option to me.
All right. Can we bring up, Ben, the home run chart? I'm going to start getting to this earlier in the show. My apologies. But we've got our top MLB home run plays right here, according to the SportsLine model. Again, if you're listening to the podcast, we show this on the screen. We've got Vlad Guerrero. Vlad Guerrero Jr., I should say. Gosh, his dad was really good, too. Plus 350 is the SportsLine model price, but the real odds, plus 450. Fernando Tatis Jr., of course, that game at Yankee Stadium, plus 280 versus plus 320 being the real odds. And Kyle Schwarber, plus 270 versus plus 350. I'm certainly rooting for that one with my bet. So we get some really the biggest values on Vlad Guerrero Jr., then Kyle Schwarber, and then Fernando Tatis. So let's look to ride those. I know we had Freddie Freeman. I don't know if the other Ketel Marte did not hit a home run. I can't remember who the third one is. I don't think he hit a home run. But that Freddie Freeman price was plus 450. Somebody tweeted at me about how they hit that with they parlayed it with a Shohei Ohtani over or one hit plus, and won a lot of money on that. So hopefully one of these hits, maybe two of them hit. I think I'm going to be riding Kyle Schwarber personally. Maybe I'll put that in a fun parlay. Hand up if there's anything else to cover. I don't think so. Thanks everybody for being in the chat. David Talk, Paul L, Rick Funcannon, Liddy, Chris Kish is in here, Randy Ortiz, Farzad. Thanks for always being in here. Thanks for hitting the like button. Gipper's Picks is in here. Thank you again for all of your participation. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. We start with, I've got a Myrtle Beach outright. Again, this doesn't start till Thursday. It's Kevin Yu at 33-1. Some sites are going to have this at 30, maybe even as low as 28. I think it's fine to take there as well. Phillies first five tonight. I'm trying to bounce back on the first fives, money line minus 125 over against the Rays. And we got Larry Hartstein, Naz Reid over 15.5 points and rebounds at minus 109. Mike McClure, Hurricanes Capitals, game one, first period under 1.5 at even money. And then Martin Green, Inter versus Barcelona, both teams to score and the over 2.5 at minus 138. And Yamal to score or assist at plus 140. Let's go to some SportsLine picks and Ben's pick. For SportsLine, we've got San Diego Padres money line at even money. That's courtesy of JLC. And Zach Wheeler over 6.5 Ks, minus 147 from Amags. And of course, Ben has the Pacers Cavs under 229.5 at minus 105. What a great show. Let's hope we have a great recap screen. Larry says it all in the chat. He says it all in the show too, but he says, good luck, everyone. Brad Morris says, good luck, y'all. Let's have a great day. We're out of here for now. On behalf of Larry, Martin Green, Mike McClure, and of course, Ben on the ones and twos, and all of you, let's have a great day. We rest our case.